Right.
All right, Kathy. Well, thank you for being here as a guest speaker to talk about the natural approaches to perimenopause and menopause. Where it's really interesting to learn this how Ayurvedic can actually help relieve and manage some of these symptoms. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Dan, for having me. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity to share this information with the community and hopefully help some people who are maybe experiencing some discomfort find some relief or some methods for finding relief that are holistic. My goal is to make this worth your while this evening. So I will jump right in. And again, to say this is one of many holistic ways of managing many different types of conditions. But we're going to specifically look at the Ayurvedic approach to managing perimenopause, menopause, and even postmenopausal symptoms. I do like to start every session of this kind with a disclaimer. I want to begin by recognizing the value of Western allopathic, traditional Western medicine, because I have family members who are alive today because of Western medical treatments. So I'm not here to claim that this approach is better than another. There are many paths to healing and caring for our bodies, and it's really important to find what works best for you, what is most effective. And all the information that I'm sharing with you this evening is meant to be for educational and informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. So before making any decisions about your care, please consult with your healthcare provider so that you can collaborate with them on what is going to be best for your specific situation. But I will use this opportunity to share the benefits of the Ayurvedic, all natural and comprehensive holistic approach, and to contrast that with some of the more traditional Western approaches to symptom management. And as we go over things tonight, you'll notice that Ayurveda is a very individualized for each individual person. It's very whole being focused. So it's not disjointed, but it's really looking at your body, mind, spirit, and all the systems that involves. And it's also aimed at solving underlying imbalances to at the very deepest level in order to naturally allow symptoms to resolve. For instance, on a very simplistic level, if you stub your toe, you have pain, and then the pain goes away because you stubbed your toe and then you took care of yourself, or you touch something hot and you have pain and you remove your hand. You've removed the cause of that pain. So Ayurveda is very focused on let's find the cause of these symptoms, and when we remove the cause or we resolve it and heal that tissue, there's no need for the body to feel that symptom anymore, because the symptoms are our body's way of saying, hey, something's not quite right and I need support and I need you to help me heal that. So in Ayurveda, we really approach health from that multi-layered whole being perspective, body, mind, spirit. They're fully intertwined in creating the foundation for our total well-being. So simply eating healthy and exercising isn't really enough to maintain our health if we're in a super stressful work situation, or maybe we struggle with anxiety or depression, or we have a personal relationship that's very unhealthy for us. Any number of things that could be happening in our life, even if we are eating super healthy and we're exercising every day, we are still going to have some issues that will come up eventually, if not right away, if we're suffering in these other areas of life. So Ayurveda is fully customized to the individual client that's in front of me as a practitioner. So because we all have unique situations, we've got specific background. We have a primary dosha, which we are born with. And dosha is a term that is an Ayurvedic term. There are 3 doshas. We all have all of them. It's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And generally, most of us will have one dosha that is predominant. That's the one that is we call our primary constitution. And it is with us when we are born. It will be our primary constitution until the day that we leave this life. And it influences the things that we need most to have a supportive environment, to have a healthy, whole well-being. And it will also affect how certain symptoms manifest in our body versus someone who has a different primary constitution. So when you work with an Ayurvedic practitioner, one of the first things that they will do in working with you, they'll gather a ton of information from you, and they'll want to determine your primary dosha, because that sets the stage for a lot of things. So the ultimate goal of Ayurveda is to preserve our health using simple daily habits and routines, so we can provide ourselves the support we need to prevent disease and symptoms, to increase our longevity, and to maintain balance in our body, mind, and spirit. This idea of balance and harmony in all the different systems is really foundational. So we treat the client, not the disease or the disorder. So very often in the Western approach, it's very symptom focused. We're treating the disease, we're treating the disorder from a Western approach. So often you will find that medication or interventions or therapies are designed to tame or lessen the symptom. With Ayurveda, your practitioner is going to do a very lengthy initial assessment, usually about 90 minutes, because we want to get a really comprehensive picture of you as a whole human being, your current and past health, as well as family history, any previous illness, your lifestyle and diet, your digestive health. What do your skin, your eyes, your hair look like, your fingernails? What are your exercise habits? Many, many things. And then we'll compile all this information to first identify your primary dosha and imbalances that we're seeing show up, and the root cause of those symptoms that you're feeling, how those symptoms are manifesting in you as an individual, the length of time that you've been experiencing the symptoms, and if they vary depending upon what foods you eat, or the weather, or the seasons, or how stressed you are, or even the time of day that you're experiencing certain symptoms. Is your sleep being affected? All these kinds of things. And then we build a customized plan for treatment of the root cause. And then the symptoms will naturally lessen, or they might even resolve completely, because the symptom, again, is the body's way of alerting us that something internal isn't in harmony. So we need to make changes to fix that problem, and then the symptoms can naturally resolve. So with an Ayurvedic practice, I might have 15 different women who all come to me with particular symptom, and it's related to perimenopause or menopause, but each one of them is going to leave likely with a unique set of recommended protocols, because they each have a completely different health history, different lifestyle needs, different dietary habits, different type of work life, family situation. All of those things come into play. So I say all of that to kind of set the stage for this comprehensive look at our health from an Ayurvedic perspective, no matter what type of health issue we're dealing with. And I'll take a brief second to take a look at this next slide, which is just a little bit about me and why you would want to listen to anything I have to say. I have spent several years training in classical yoga, yoga therapy, and Ayurveda. And I am using these same types of protocols to manage my own health. So I speak from experience in that department as well. And I primarily, outside of workshops like this in the community and online, I work primarily with individual clients, providing them with these highly customized, guided therapeutic protocols, as well as very customized yoga, guided meditation, and breath work, and some additional holistic practices like reflexology. I've also used some tapping and some other things with folks who are interested in going in these other directions, really to help just provide a whole body health. So people can come to me for various different types of things, but we are taking this holistic approach. And the whole idea is helping people feel more comfortable in their body, more confident, and in control of both body, or all three: body, mind, and spirit. And for the clients who want to go deeper to the complete Ayurvedic protocol, I provide that whole 360-degree all natural approach for them. Excuse me. So I aim to help others who want to use these natural methods to heal and support their well-being. And just a little bit about Ayurveda itself. It's one of the oldest health management systems on earth. If you're at all familiar with Chinese medicine, you might see some overlap in some of the information between ancient Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. And Ayurveda itself is over 5,000 years old. It was developed in India, and it continues to be practiced and studied and refined as a health management system in India today. And Ayurvedic doctors and hospitals are operating throughout the country of India. And more doctors here in the US and other Western countries are beginning to recognize the benefits of a more integrated, personalized approach, on kind of slowly, but we're beginning to see more of that. And I really appreciate that there are a lot of scientific studies on Ayurvedic methods that are being conducted, and the results of those studies are posted on the National Center for Biotechnology Information website, and that is part of the National Institutes of Health. So I often go there if I'm doing research for a presentation and refer to that source when looking for scientific data to share on Ayurvedic and holistic methods. So let's move on. Today we're going to cover what is perimenopause, what is menopause, what is postmenopause from an Ayurvedic lens. And then we're going to discuss causes and phases of menopause, what causes these phases to happen, common symptoms throughout the phases, and Western approaches to treating those symptoms. And then we'll get into some Ayurvedic symptom management for various types of symptoms, the ways that we build what we call ojas in an Ayurvedic terminology, which is this combination of immunity, vitality, and resilience within the systems of the body. How we manage our Agni, or our digestive fire. Digestion plays a huge role in the foundation of our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And it is a main pillar of Ayurvedic care. And then we'll talk a little bit about supportive foods and herbs that can help to alleviate symptoms, as well as yoga therapy and supportive daily routines that will round out this nice wraparound kind of care plan. So I want to go back to that managing the Agni for just a moment. One reason that it is so important is that not only does it help us to provide nutrition, ensures that we're absorbing all the nutrients that we need to be healthy, but it also is helping us to eliminate waste efficiently and effectively. So that is one of the reasons why we look at digestion so closely. And also, it is the point in our body where the beginnings of more serious disease can start in the digestive system. So whenever you experience any kind of digestive upset, it's kind of like first base, so to speak. And you've hit the ball. I'm talking baseball here. And first base is the body saying, oh, hey, like we're doing this, and something's not quite right. And so you are in the outfield trying to figure out what's going on and try to prevent that runner from going to second base, third base, or home, because that would be this illness or disease advancing into another stage. And if we can correct it while it's within the digestive system, it's usually a lot easier to manage. If we start to get symptoms outside of the digestive system, they're just more difficult to get back in balance and under control. So just pay really close attention to any digestive symptoms that you have, whether it's as you're hungry, after a meal, and also with your elimination. Those are really good indications if something's off, that you need to pay some attention there and get that back in balance. So let's talk about menopause. What is causing it to happen? So there can be different causes. Most of us are going to experience menopause naturally. It's just a natural phase of life, but it can also be surgically induced if you have a gynecological procedure like removal of the ovaries or a hysterectomy. And it can also be medically induced because there are some medical treatments like chemotherapy, radiation, or various drug treatments that can cause menopause to occur also. So if you are experiencing immediate menopause from surgery or medical intervention, that means that that's going to probably create more severe symptoms, because the natural gradual process is happening immediately. So the body doesn't have the opportunity to adjust to these hormonal changes gradually. So when everything happens abruptly, the symptoms might really reflect that that's a jolt to our body. So that is an unfortunate side effect of some of those more immediate causes of menopause. I love this definition that I heard once, to think of perimenopause as puberty in reverse, which can also give you kind of an aha moment of like, oh, well, that explains some things. So this stage can last several years. It may begin as early as 35 or a little later, around 50. If menopause or if perimenopause begins earlier than 35, we consider that early onset, and your practitioner would treat with protocols that would support rebalancing your systems to re-regulate the menstrual cycles and stabilize the hormones that will support a regular menstrual cycle. So we don't want, I shouldn't say it that way. Generally, menopause is expected to be around the mid 50s, and to actually reach the point of menopause, which we'll talk about what that means later. But we need to have this cycle throughout most of our reproductive years. And then the natural ending should be expected around that 50 age. If it's happening much earlier, then that is an indication there's something that's a little bit off with our systems that we need to rebalance and stabilize. So it isn't a disease, although it may feel like a disease, because it can really affect our lives and it can really feel uncomfortable. But it is a natural process that the female body goes through as our hormones change and our ovaries stop releasing eggs for reproduction. So like puberty, hormone fluctuations will contribute to the symptoms. And some of those symptoms can include hot flashes, which we all have probably heard of, dryness throughout the body, fatigue, irregular cycles, heavy bleeding, migraines. There are musculoskeletal changes that can sometimes cause pain. You might have joint discomfort, heart palpitations. Often we will feel memory loss, or we'd have really scattered thinking. We may experience some bone loss. We might feel anxious or irritable. We might experience some weight gain or possibly even weight loss. The digestive issues, if we've had some before, may become a little more pronounced, or we may suddenly be having digestive issues we've never experienced before. So that is a lot. And there are even other things that can come up. So real fun times, right? It is important, though, to remember that all of these symptoms are signals, and we can make changes to be supportive of our body going through this really significant change and allow ourselves to kind of gradually go through it and be able to manage these things and not feel such severe symptoms. So I do want to focus on the fact that we live in a culture that really normalizes overwork, regular chronic stress, becoming depleted, exhausted, lack of adequate rest and self-care. These are unfortunately very normalized in our modern culture. And I think most women have experienced feeling any one or many of those things at once during our lifetimes. And also, how many of us are taught that cramps are just a normal part of having a period? We're expected to just pop an Advil and soldier on and ignore the fact that those cramps are a form of pain, and pain is a signal that the body needs attention, that there is a problem that needs addressing. Specifically in Ayurvedic terms, it is an indication that we have a vata imbalance and that we need to take steps to correct that. So the pain will naturally be relieved or potentially go completely away. As a side note, pain is always associated with vata dosha or a vata imbalance. and how and where it shows up in the body can help your practitioner identify the underlying causes that are out of balance and plan your protocols accordingly. So back to that cultural conditioning that we have sometimes, it's really important that we choose to incorporate more self-care and other supportive habits into our lives during this phase, because it is going to make a significant difference in our well-being. And no one is going to force you to take care of yourself. We are our best caregivers, and we know what we need to support us, even if we've been ignoring that for some time. So I urge you to use your agency to choose to give yourself what you need in the way of rest, nutrition, good, clean inputs, both from your food, the environment you are in, the media that you take in, the people that you spend time with. Just prioritize providing yourself the most wholesome and supportive self-care that you can every day, if you possibly can. The more you do that, the better you will feel. And your daily habits and choices can really significantly improve your whole life, not just these menopause and perimenopausal symptoms. And it can also help to prevent future serious disease that isn't even related to your reproductive health. I did a presentation a few months ago on stress and anxiety, specifically anxiety, and how stress affects people who experience anxiety, and found that, I don't remember the exact statistic, but a huge percentage of serious metabolic diseases is caused by the choices that we make around stress and stress management in our lives over the course of many years. And now, obviously, genetics play a role in these things, but we have much more agency than we often use to lessen stressors and build up our inner resilience. So when we care for our body, mind, and spirit with our daily habits, so that we don't have to think about it, it just becomes part of our routine. We're building up that ojas, or that immunity, vitality, and inner resilience. And I do want to take a quick second. This is kind of a sidetrack, but there is a very popular doctor on social media right now who specializes in menopausal treatment. And I believe she is very knowledgeable. She's written a book, and I forget the name of the book. I think she's very skilled, very knowledgeable. And I really appreciate the focus that she places on women's health in this particular stage of life, because that is long overdue. However, in her content recently, she used the term in referring to symptoms specifically of perimenopause and menopause as the result of estrogen deprivation. And when I heard that term, it really concerned me, because I don't like that choice of phrasing, because that deprivation word is kind of loaded. It sounds like something is being taken away from you. And I don't like it when doctors use emotion in that way to kind of stage their argument for certain treatments, even though I believe her treatments are probably very effective for many of her patients. But there's definitely a decline in estrogen that is a natural process, but it is not being stolen from us, or it's not being withheld from us. It is naturally declining as we enter this later stage, this vata stage of life, when we're no longer in a reproductive phase of life. And with the proper protocols and the proper self-care, we will be able to prevent or lessen the symptoms, while also improving the quality of our life for many years, not just treating the symptoms in the short term. So that's a little side note, but since some of you may be looking for resources out there, I just wanted to mention that in case you're familiar with her work. So let's take another look at defining menopause specifically. We looked at perimenopause on the previous slide. So a woman is in menopause once she has had no menstrual cycle for 12 consecutive months. So during the perimenopausal phase, you may have irregular cycles, or you may skip some months, but to be officially in the stage of menopause, you will not have a cycle for 12 consecutive months. However, the symptoms may continue, especially if there are imbalances in the doshas and bodily systems that haven't been resolved during that perimenopausal phase. So Ayurvedic protocols are going to help to rebalance, and then they're also going to change as you change and as you progress, and even as seasons of the year can change, or you have an illness, or you reach another stage of life. those protocols will be adjusted because your needs are changing as well. So your practitioner is going to identify specific imbalances and provide the recommendations based on you for dietary choices and also food habits. Like, when do you eat your meals each day? Are you eating with a family group, or are you eating on your own? Are you in front of the TV? Are you eating fast food? So we look a lot at the food and dietary choices. We also provide herbal supports. We'll talk about mindful movement, whatever kind of exercise is most effective for your situation, and then simple daily self-care and lifestyle changes that are going to help you rebalance the whole being. For example, one thing that someone will look at as an Ayurvedic practitioner is your skin. It's a really big indicator of how depleted you are. If you have dry, dull skin, it's not supple and vibrant. If the lips are kind of gray naturally, you have dry mouth or dry eyes, you might be slightly anemic or severely anemic, or maybe even have like a quick sudden loss of weight. Those are all indications of depletion or vata imbalance. So that's just one thing that a practitioner may say, oh, okay, I see what's leading me toward vata imbalance. Let's see what's going on and why it's so imbalanced. So those are initial indicators. With further data gathering, your practitioner is going to address that imbalance and all other imbalances that are going on. So I will take a moment too to say that we try to look at what there can be different levels of imbalance in different tissues and different systems of the body. So first of all, we want to find any buildup of toxicity. And there are different things that we look at, like the coating on the tongue. What do the eyes look like? What is your elimination like, to determine what we call ama, the level of ama or toxicity in the body. Toxin sounds like it's poisonous, but over time, if ama continues to accumulate and we aren't able to rid it from the body because it's waste product, then it can cause a lot of health issues. So we will eliminate ama, which is a big cause of things. So we're talking about eliminating causes, and then we'll take care of rejuvenation and replenishment. But the most important thing is to remove the cause first, and then the protocols will be rejuvenating. So we remove causes first, we remove toxicity, and then we rebuild. So let's take a quick look at Western approaches. To treatment. There we are. Sorry. So of course, we all want symptom relief. Who doesn't? Like, that's a big part of what we're all looking for. And the Western approaches are more aggressive, and so they can bring some quick results. And if someone is very seriously suffering, they may need a more aggressive approach. So I'm not going to say this is not for anyone or that these are bad, but these are the more traditional approaches from a Western perspective. So they can reduce symptoms, but they often mask the underlying issues. So if those are left unaddressed, they can lead to future illness and disease. And in some of these cases, with some of these treatments, they can have some unpleasant side effects, or in some cases, even harmful side effects that might create new issues. So if you're looking for a different approach and want to step outside of these, then Ayurveda is one option for you. And excuse me, your practitioner will also take a look at, are you already undergoing any of these treatments, and make sure that anything that he or she provides for you is going to complement what you're already doing. And then they also might say, oh, if you're taking this and such medication, we won't use these herbal approaches because they may interact with your medications, that kind of thing. So when your practitioner identifies your protocols, keep in mind that Ayurveda is highly customized. So I'm going to give you some protocols, but I don't want you to think, oh, I'm having that symptom, I'm immediately going to go do these things, because this is not a comprehensive look at your specific situation. So don't take these things and run with them just because you're having hot flashes. I would need to know a lot more about you to give you a really good, solid protocol plan, so that it would be most effective and not at all detrimental for you. because I'd need to know your full story. So if I had a client who came to me and had hot flashes and was feeling very irritable and easily angered, then I might give that person protocols for cooling herbs and spices in their teas and in their cooking. For example, using rose, tulsi, or holy basil, mint, coriander, and fennel. Those are all cooling. And I might suggest teas like chamomile, lavender, hibiscus, because those are also cooling for the body, um, as well as yoga and breath work and meditation that are calming and cooling for the system. So no hot yoga or fast vinyasa for someone who's already feeling the heat and having that irritability. Some people may have hot flashes and no irritability. So there's one of those cases where I would look differently at that particular client and what would be most beneficial for them. So if you were someone in this situation, you could maybe do sun salutations, which is normally a heating yoga practice, but only do a couple repetitions and do them at a slower pace, more methodical pace, and it won't be as heating for the body. Which can increase your pitta when you're doing these very heating practices. So I would also suggest that this person avoid alcohol, spicy foods, caffeine, fried foods, fast foods, processed foods, any leftovers that are more than 24 years old. 24 hours old. 24 years old would be very bad. And honestly, everyone should avoid those types of foods for the most part, because they all build up ama in the body. Now, that being said, I want to make it very clear that these are recommendations. There are no rules in Ayurvedic protocols. They're recommendations and guidelines, because I personally really enjoy some French fries now and then. They are a fried food, obviously. And I eat them, and then I know that the next day I need to do something that pacifies that dosha to just bring myself back into balance. But it's really important that you're not, you're allowing yourself to enjoy the things of life, the glass of wine with friends at dinner, or maybe you're staying up a little later at night and you know that it would be better for you to be in bed at 10, but you have company and you're really enjoying spending time with these people that you care about. So again, these are guidelines, and I like the 4 out of 7 rule. 4 days out of 7, you stick pretty closely with the protocols that are given to you, because you know they're really supporting your well-being. And then 1 or 2, 3 days a week, if you do one of the things that's kind of on your, and this is not the best, most supportive thing for me, that's okay, because it's not enough to completely knock you out of balance. You can easily pacify that dosha and bring things back into balance with your habits the next day. If I had somebody come to me with, say, depression, weight gain, fatigue, those protocols might include more energetic movement, more warming foods and drinks, more light and airy foods, and less dense and grounding foods. And I might tell them to really make sure that they wake early in the day and get their exercise early in the day, because that's going to help increase the energy and circulation of the body, and also to help with kickstarting the digestive system, clearing out the digestive tract, helping with that digestion, which also can help with any weight gain. And for somebody that's experiencing maybe a lot of dryness in their body, and then also having a lot of worry or anxiety, or maybe just feeling on edge, that person might get recommendations for things like abhyanga, which is a daily self-massage with oil that is vata pacifying. It will help to lubricate not only the skin, but also the other tissues of the body. It helps with lymph drainage. That person might also get the suggestion maybe to do a gentle scalp massage with that same oil that is vata pacifying, that not only supports growth of the hair and any dryness in the scalp, but it's also really calming and soothing for the mind. So it helps with that anxiety, and also can help with sleep. And for their dietary recommendations, I might include adding in more stews, more soups that are really warming for the digestive system, and also helping to lubricate the digestive tract, as well as just keeping hydrated, especially overnight. Soups and stews are really great to have in the evening because it helps you stay hydrated overnight, and it helps the digestive system to move right along. Those things are just easier to digest with that added liquid. So oftentimes I'll see people that are having sluggish digestion. So keeping that light kind of liquidy evening meal can really be helpful. And just in general, every human being can benefit from eating their largest meal at midday, because our Agni, or our digestive fire, is strongest when the sun is highest in the sky. So midday is when it's best to eat our largest meal. That being said, if you go out to dinner with friends and you're indulging in a nice dinner, you do that once in a while. We all want to balance out enjoying the things of life with our protocols. Let's see. I forgot anything there. All right, let's move along. So let's talk about some universally supportive protocols, because while an Ayurvedic practitioner is going to give you these very specific protocols just for you and your situation and your symptoms and your history, there are some universally supportive things you can do no matter what your conditions are, what your symptoms are. So keeping the same waking and sleep times every day really helps to regulate your circadian rhythms, and also helps to make sure that you're getting deep quality sleep. So between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., that is when our bodies can do the most significant cellular regeneration and tissue repair. So if we are not sleeping during that time, we're missing out on some of the natural rejuvenation that can happen within our body, some self-healing. So don't miss out on that by staying up late on a regular basis. Eating that largest meal at midday, and then just keeping the same meal times daily. And I didn't realize how bad I was at this until I really started paying attention. But if we're eating breakfast at the same time, lunch at the same time, dinner at the same time each day, then our digestive system is very trained in that. It's almost like that whole concept of Pavlov's dogs, but the digestive system knows, oh, this is the time of day when I need to be ready to be active and complete the digestive process. And you will naturally be hungry at that time if you stay on a nice routine. Now, again, obviously that has to change now and then, but we want to generally stick with those same times. And limiting snacking will allow the digestive system to completely empty the stomach between our meals. So it really helps to allow that little bit of a break for our digestive system. It's working to digest foods for our entire life, and it can also be overworked. So by giving it this little bit of a break, keeping our meals and long enough apart so that we can complete active digestion between them, and all of the food is out of the stomach and into the more passive part of the digestive tract, that's a really healthy way to support your digestive system. Finishing your meals 3 hours before you go to sleep, also very, very supportive for the digestive system and also for your sleep. So if you're in active digestion, you still have food in the stomach when you lie down to go to sleep, it will generally disrupt your sleep, because these two really important systems are trying to work at the same time, and they're kind of competing. Because even though sleep seems very inactive, it's a pretty active process for the body and the brain, even though we're still and less conscious. So we want to make sure that we can allow that food to be moved out of the stomach so that we can really relax and completely take advantage of our sleep hours. Excuse me. And also lying down after meals, just not very good for the digestive system. We need to have that upright gravity helping things move through the digestive tract. And also incorporating warm, cooked, easily digestible foods, very helpful for vata pacifying. And generally speaking, a vata pacifying diet helps to stabilize that digestive tract anyway, depending upon your situation, of course. And warm cooked foods are vata pacifying by nature. Vata is the dosha of action and movement and elimination. So anything that is supportive of Vata will support action, movement, and elimination through the digestive tract. And your practitioner will be able to give you a list of foods that are really supportive for you, as well as foods that may aggravate your symptoms. And likewise, she or he can give you a list of foods that shouldn't be combined together in one meal that can cause digestive upset when they are combined. So anything you can do to remove stressors and introduce calm into your life, those are all going to be helpful during this perimenopausal and menopausal phase, where it's just a very big shift. So anything we can do to settle is going to help us to be more grounded during this very big shift that our body is going through. So I would suggest, this is, things you read, things you see, things you hear, people you interact with. If those are stressful to you, if you're taking on extra responsibilities that you can let go of, if you can ask for more help when you need it, if you have a work situation that you can shift because it's not really supportive and healthy for you, if there's any overscheduling that you can rein in, do those things for yourself. So I would like to give you 30 seconds right now to just jot down 3 easy ways that you could reduce stress in your life within the next week. Maybe something you could even begin tomorrow. So take a moment and just jot those down very quickly, and then we'll come right back. Okay. I want to share with you a couple of things that I learned in my yoga teacher training, specifically, that were ways that I was able to reduce stress in my life, and they may be helpful to you. So that's why I want to share them. One of them, and these are more shifts in thought patterns. So one of them was specifically from a particular teacher in my training program, and they talked often about being 100% invested in the process of what we are doing, very, very focused on the process of what we are doing in the moment, and letting go of wanting to control the outcome or the results, which is so much easier said than done. So we're goal focused humans quite often, and we don't spend a lot of time living right in the moment. We often are forecasting or looking forward to the next thing. So this idea of being 100% invested in the process and really letting go of what may come of my efforts was one of those things. Just letting go of that need to know what's going to happen next, or to have some certainty around it. And then also letting go of attachment or emotions around other people's behaviors, opinions, and thoughts. And some people may already have both of these mastered. And if you do, I absolutely commend you because these were things that I had to learn, at 48, 50 years old. Just focusing my behaviors, thoughts, and habits on how I could be my best self, despite what others may be doing or saying, or what I might think they're thinking about me or what I'm doing. Just choosing behaviors, thoughts, and habits that are based on my values and not any sort of reaction to something outside of me. Doing those things has made a tremendous difference in just being able to be more at ease, more relaxed, and letting go of the things that are outside of me, that are outside of my control. So I'll give you those little nuggets if they're helpful for you. Anything that you can do to schedule calm into your day, rest, play, joy that you can experience each and every day, even if it's just a simple cup of tea as you sit on the porch and watch the sun come up, or a 20 to 30 minute walk with a neighbor outside, reading something that you enjoy, or taking up a hobby, but just being with people who lift you up. daily mindful movement that just makes your body feel really good. And other mindfulness practices like meditation or journaling or breath work that allow you to draw your attention to your inner world and away from all of that outside stimuli. Those things that you can do to bring joy, calm, play, and rest into your day will also build up your ojas, your inner resilience, your vitality, and your immunity. So take another 30 seconds now and just write down 3 ideas of easy ways that you can add into your day or your week, things that will bring you more rest, play, calm, or joy. And then we'll come right back. All right. Hopefully, I've given you enough time to come up with some good ideas. I would encourage you to take those little notes of ways to reduce stress, ways to bring more calm and joy into your life, cut them out or put them on a sticky note and just put them somewhere you'll see them each day, whether it's the bathroom mirror, the fridge, wherever you will get those little reminders to prioritize your self care, because these don't have to be complicated things. They can be simple. The difficult part is just being consistent with them and remembering that you are your caretaker and that you deserve to take radically good care of yourself. So put those little reminders in places you will see them. And I also encourage people to anchor their self care in their morning, midday, or evening or afternoon routines. So if you already have a routine set up, for instance, I'm a person who needs to do my exercise and meditation in the morning to make sure it happens, because I know that over the course of years of my life, if I don't do it in the morning, it rarely happens. So I plan that into my morning routine. And some days I have to be up and out early, so I have to do it another time or it won't happen that day. But I know that I need to prioritize that on a pretty regular basis. And then I may plan for a yoga nidra, which is a really deep relaxation where you're lying completely still, but you are fully awake. And I plan that for after work because it gives me a little energy for the rest of the day, but it also lets me unplug from all of the work stuff and responsibility and transition into my more calm home life. And then my evening routine, I just make sure I start that after I clean up after dinner. I just do quiet activities around the house so that by the time I need to be going, lying my head down on the pillow, I'm calm enough to be ready to sleep at that point. I encourage people to begin that nightly ritual, that nightly routine, at least 30 minutes before you want to be asleep or lie down in the bed. And it just helps to get you ready. One little thing also that I didn't list here that you can do is to have a warm cup of tea or a warm cup of water, even first thing in the morning. It kickstarts your digestive system and just helps to lubricate the digestive tract and warm it up to get the digestive juices flowing. So anytime that you can schedule something around, anchoring to these other routines that you have, it really helps you to get it done. And I'm sure you've noticed that digestion is this huge focus of Ayurveda. And it's because we do have this need to regulate the digestive tract in order to prevent more serious disease. And if our other digestion centers of we have to digest even the emotions that we feel or the media that we take in, if those other digestive centers are disrupted, we'll usually see symptoms in the digestive tract, even when one of these other areas is off balance. And if you do experience anxiety or if you experience some very stressful situation, you often notice some people will be encouraged, like their body wants them to eat more when they feel stressed, and then some of us don't have no appetite, and we have a hard time making ourselves eat when we're feeling really upset. So just something to pay attention to is how your body responds to stressors and how your digestive system responds as well. I wanted to give you another statistic here, and I don't have the exact one, but we were talking about disease moving outside the digestive tract. I believe it's a little over 80% of more serious disease begins first in the gut or digestive tract. So just pay close attention to your digestion. It's usually a really good indicator of something that can be gotten back into control before it moves on to more serious disease or symptoms. So again, remember, Ayurveda is giving you recommendations, not rules. It's to guide your well-being toward healing and balance, to help bring you that comfort and well-being that we all want. So your practitioner is trying to provide you with an outline to follow, but it isn't a set of rules to follow. We don't want you to feel deprived because you're missing out on the little joys of certain things. So again, guidelines, not rules. There are a few more universally supportive protocols here, including yoga, meditation, and breath work, what we call pranayama in the yoga and Ayurveda world. And all of those can reduce nearly all the variations of symptoms that come with menopause and perimenopause when they are specifically tailored to the imbalanced doshas and the tissues, along with the presentation of symptoms that you have. So they do need to be specific to your situation in order to be supportive and not add to an imbalance or aggravate the doshas that are already elevated. So they also improve bodily awareness. So because we've talked about the fact that everything is connected within our being, if you're feeling out of balance mentally or emotionally, you'll probably notice if you're doing a yoga practice, it may be harder to do a balancing pose on your mat, or you may just feel yourself lose your footing for a moment and have to regain it. Or you might find it's harder to sit still in meditation or your shavasana, because that bit of imbalance it translates not just to our physical or mental or our mental or emotional well-being, but also to our physical being. So it's just something to be aware of, because we're whole human beings. These systems all work together for our benefit, but the Western approach often treats them as very separate and disjointed. So we may think of them that way, but they're very dependent on one another and deeply affect one another. When you're doing breath work, you'll get this added awareness of the movement of your breath. It can really help to either energize or calm you, depending upon the type of pranayama that you're being asked to do. It might really help to sharpen your mind and improve memory and focus. It can also really help to release some physical tension, some emotional tension, along with building that inner resilience that we talked about, and also just improving your respiration, improving lung capacity, and helping to reduce anxiety. And if we're breathing well, we're also breathing more deeply, more fully. That can translate into better digestive health also. But it really does depend on the type of breathing practice that you're being asked to do, as what type of results you're working toward. And then also all of these activities bring you a lot more self-awareness. So not only to your physical body and the movement of the breath within the body and the movement of the limbs, but also what is your self-talk like during your exercise or your meditation or your breath practice? Are you critical or judgmental of yourself? Are you focusing on not being able to do a pose or feeling sore because, oh, darn, I didn't practice for a week and now I'm feeling sore because I didn't do that? Or is your self-talk more focused on what you are able to do easily, and that you're attempting something that's new or challenging, or maybe not even your favorite? And then just recognizing this amazing, beautiful, strong, miraculous body that's carrying you through this practice, and having gratitude for that fact that your body is healthy enough to do that for you right now. So just choose to reframe thoughts as you notice the ones that are just not serving you well, or not building you up, not fortifying you and building that ojas, that immunity, that vitality, that resilience. We want our self-talk to be supporting our well-being, and it really does make a difference. Words really, really matter, and your self-talk is important. It is really key to fortifying that belief that your body has the ability to heal and be well. And I wanted to give you this little sweet tea recipe. This is a tridoshic rasa tea. And rasa, we refer to it's the easiest way to describe rasa is like the plasma. It's the essence of our circulatory fluids within the body. And this particular rasa tea is really good for building that ojas, that immunity, vitality, and resilience. So these are some herbal ingredients. And the reason that it is tridoshic, you'll see there are, if you're familiar with herbs and spices, there are some in here that are cooling, there are some that are heating, and there are some that are calming and soothing. So it's a really nice mix, and that makes it tridoshic. Not my recipe. I did note the book that this is taken from and the author's name here at the bottom. So I want to give credit to her. And this also is supportive not only of the rasa or the plasma, but it is supportive of the nerves, both the female and the male reproductive system. And as I said, building the ojas. And it is also recommended now, if you're in perimenopause or the menopausal stages, probably this isn't going to be important to you, but it also can help with lactation for moms. So let's summarize here what we've talked about, and then we'll move into some Q&A time. Perimenopausal and menopausal symptoms are not a disease. They can be managed pretty effectively with all natural methods, including Ayurveda. And those methods can include dietary recommendations, lifestyle habits, mindful movement, habits of mind, meditation, breath work, and simple, supportive daily routines. So when you have the support of an Ayurvedic practitioner or wellness counselor, they can help you by giving you a customized guide to follow for relieving your specific type of symptoms and address the needs of your current stage of menopause or perimenopause. And many practitioners will also offer ongoing support for periodic checkups on your progress after your initial consultation, and then a follow-up to give you the protocols, because you'll likely need to have some adjustments in your protocols as your situation improves and as your life changes. I think I mentioned that we first like to remove causative factors. So we will do some treatment that will resolve some of those causative things. And then we'll come into another stage of treatment that helps to rebuild tissue and rejuvenate the system after we remove some of the causative factors. And Ayurvedic methods are really gentle, so they often do not have the side effects of many more aggressive treatments. But again, you want to consult with your doctor. Some herbs can interact with medications. One, for example, is licorice, which is not advised when you happen to be on blood pressure medication because it can naturally lower the blood pressure some. So again, you want to consult with your medical doctor if you're being treated for other conditions. And I really appreciate the agency that we have in working with an Ayurvedic practitioner, because in Western medicine, we can often feel like we're just kind of handing over our care to someone who may or may not take more than 15 minutes to try to understand what's going on with us. And we'll often just receive a prescription and they'll be sent on our way. And with an Ayurvedic approach, you as the client are much more involved, and you're a partner with your practitioner, and you get to take the reins of your health management with the guidance of your practitioner, who's going to have the knowledge to show you how to bring yourself into this most harmonious state of being so that your bodily systems can naturally function optimally and your symptoms will naturally start to be relieved, and the ultimate goal is to resolve them completely. So it does take time, especially if we've been very out of balance over the course of our lives. it's going to take time. We cannot, they say Rome wasn't built in a day. If you're trying to recorrect years of depletion, and I speak here from experience, it takes time to get yourself back to a more balanced, holistic way of living. And whether you go with a strictly natural approach or you want to blend a Western treatment plan with some Ayurvedic supports, you can choose the most supportive and healing path for you and your situation. And the Ayurvedic self-care will have benefits to the mind, body, and spirit that are going to support your physical well-being and also will complement Western approaches and just improve your quality of life overall so that you can enjoy each precious day of your life just a little more comfortable, with a little more joy, a little more contentment, and feeling a lot more settled, balanced, and in harmony. So that balance and harmony is something we're always working toward. And we are always having to work toward, because we have to rebalance throughout our days, no matter what comes our way. So with that, I'm going to provide you just a couple of resources, and we will also do Q&A after this. If you are interested in hearing from me after this evening, I do send a weekly email newsletter that includes all kinds of tips on holistic living, building your resilience, reducing stress, and fortifying your health and well-being in body, mind, and spirit. And you can use this link, and I think Dan's going to put that in the chat for us. And then I also have some free resources as well as some service offerings on my Linktree. You can see my social media accounts that are there, although I'm not super active, but there are some resources there as well. And then I also have a special offer for anybody who's here this evening or who's watching this recording as part of this presentation. If you are attending the workshop and you are interested in getting a full Ayurvedic assessment and customized protocols to address your unique health situation and lifestyle, I'm adding something extra to that normal package for those of you who are on this workshop or listening to the recording. So in addition to your initial intake and the normal follow-up to go over your protocols, I will also provide an additional private, customized Ayurvedic therapeutic yoga, breathwork, and meditation that is customized to your current symptoms and your current health situation to be really supportive of you. So that is normally valued at $400. I'm just including it as a bonus for those of you who've come here tonight for this workshop or are listening to the recording afterward. And the link for that Ayurvedic consultation is also there in the Linktree. So with that, I want to open this up for questions, because if I don't have the answers for you, I will absolutely jot notes down and follow up with you afterward. I've thrown a lot of information at you, so I would love for people to just speak up if you have questions.
Well, we have a question from Elle. So go ahead, Elle.
Hi there. I had the question I had earlier was, what was the name of the social media doctor that you were talking about earlier? And then I had other questions after that. Another question after.
Her first name is Mary Claire. I want to say her last name is, let me look her up real quickly.
Is it Haver?
Yes, that is her. Sorry.
Okay.
That is her.
Okay. I thought that's who you were talking about, but I didn't want to make the wrong guess. Yes.
And I absolutely do think she is a wonderful resource for many people. It's just that one thing that she said, and I was like, it was a little bit of a, it just rubbed me the wrong way, the way that was being said. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. But again, she does have an incredible amount of good information, and I appreciate her focus so much.
Fantastic. Can I just ask you something about, like, you mentioned hot and cold earlier, like depending on what some of your symptoms are, there might be certain recommendations given to a client, patient, based on some of the symptoms that they have. If I could rattle off maybe some of mine, I think based on what I understood you saying, I might be perhaps considered hot, but I'm not sure. So some of my issues are things like infertility, nerve issues. Like I have sporadic numbness in my extremities, like my toes in particular. Dryness in my body, so like skin issues such as eczema and rosacea, and chronic inflammation, depression, anxiety. And I was also told I have pre-hypothyroidism or thyroid antibodies. So, and I've been in perimenopause for many years now, so more than 5 years. So I don't know what all that means.
Yeah. And you have a lot of things that you're dealing with.
Yes.
And that it's a more complex situation because you have various, those are various different symptoms of the body. So
Okay.
you're looking at nerve issues, you're looking at the reproductive system, you're looking at the thyroid, and you said the chronic inflammation, and some of these things I am familiar with myself too, of my own health issues. It's when you're looking at that many different bodily systems, and this is as a practitioner, and my teacher is the same way, the person who trained me.
Okay.
I cannot in good conscience rattle off ideas for someone without doing a thorough assessment, because there are so many different things involved. And it is very easy to send someone down a path that is exacerbating symptoms or aggravating some of these other things by trying to treat one particular thing. It does sound like there's definitely, I can say from what you mentioned, both some vata and some pitta imbalance. Chronic inflammation is a pitta condition, and rosacea is redness. Anything that brings color to the skin is pitta related. The vata, dryness, the nerve issues, the anxiety, all are vata related. So it sounds like you tend to have vata, pitta type of conditions. So in that regard, what I could say is do things that are vata and pitta pacifying. And so anything that you can do, again, to reduce stress, to bring a lot of routine and calm and serenity into your environment, into your life, those are going to be helpful things.
Okay.
Pitta is also related to if you are a predominant pitta, and I haven't done an assessment with you, so I don't know what your predominant dosha is, but predominantly pitta people, when they're out of balance, are really irritable. They're very easy to anger. They're very judgmental and critical, not just of others, but of themselves.
That's me.
Okay.
Okay, that's me.
And so these are none of the doshas. I always like to make sure people understand, like, there's no good dosha, bad dosha situation. We have all of them. The most important thing about understanding our doshas and our imbalances, and then how to correct them and bring them back into harmony, is the self-awareness.
Right.
So knowing that you have these tendencies, you can catch yourself and be like, oh, I'm being critical. How can I just reframe that? Oh, I made a mistake. I listened rather to my daughter, who's 23 years old, do this on the phone the other day, because we'd had a discussion about self-talk when she was here over the holidays. She's in college. And she was saying something, and she was like, oh, such an idiot. I did blah, blah, blah. And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not okay. You can't talk to yourself that way. You're very intelligent. What happened? And she went on to say, oh, I did this, I forgot to pick up this thing when I was out, now I have to make a special trip, whatever it was. I don't remember now. But when I talked to her on the phone after she'd gotten back to school, she said, oh my gosh, I did the dumbest thing. I can't believe it. And I said, wait. And she goes, nope. Okay. She said, I made a mistake. And I said, what was the mistake? Is there something I can do to help you? She goes, I left my computer charger at the house. I need you to mail it to me, please. So I'm like, yeah, I can do that. No big deal. but that anything we can do to have that self-awareness, to just take our natural tendencies and pacify those, that helps, that automatically helps bring things back in balance. And if you want to go further, I would absolutely suggest working with a practitioner, because I think what you're talking about here, all of these things are manageable. And as you take away the causative factors, many of these things can be resolved.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I did see that Heidi asked early in the presentation, can you repeat the website, please? But I don't know which website that was. If Heidi's still around and wants to refer back to that.
I think Heidi left.
Okay. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to answer that for her.
So I have a question,
Uh-huh.
and it might, excuse me, as a man, you know, we're energetic beings, right? And so I'm just wondering, because obviously, you know, I'm in my 50s and I've had to, you know, take a look at my testosterone and look at my hormones to make, because like you said, as we get older, these things decline. So for me, you know, I've had to take some action and take care of that. I'm just wondering, you know, like how they say, if there is women who like live together, sometimes like when their menstrual cycle happens, basically they'll start to be in sync with their menstrual cycles. Could that also happen with also going into menopause? That's the first question. And the second question is, could a woman, like if you're in a relationship with a woman and we're energetic beings, does the energy somehow, like if a woman is going through menopause, should a man pay attention to that because he could be in decline at the same time a woman is going through menopause as well?
That's an interesting question, Dan. I think like what you're saying, we definitely need to be aware of the energy that's shared in any relationship. And I do believe that while I don't know that if you're talking about like the hormonal issues, I do want to take a step back though. One of the things about this, it's a little bit of a misunderstanding with the menstrual cycles being coordinated, I guess. If all of the women in a particular place are on their most living in their most balanced way, their cycles will be tied to the phases of the moon, which that's what's actually causing the cyclical synchronization.
Okay.
Back to the energetics. I think that's an interesting proposal. I don't know that it would necessarily, if one person is experiencing this decline in the hormones, that the other would be affected in that same way. But I think that it is important to be aware of the symptoms that either of our, you know, the female or the male partner may be experiencing, because it definitely will affect behavior. It often can affect our sense of self. It can affect our libido. It can affect our, you know, our desire for, you know, changing things up in our lives. I mean, there's just a lot going on there. So I think it will definitely be affecting the relationship. And for some people, it's going to be more, the more severe the symptoms, the more it's probably going to be difficult. It's going to cause difficulty in the relationship. So just have a lot of compassion with yourself and with one another as you go through these shifts, because I think while it definitely can be very challenging, it can also give you the opportunity to talk about things just in the open, rather than sweeping them under the rug as something that's taboo or we don't talk about. I mean, these are just natural parts of our lives. And I'm so grateful that they're becoming more widely discussed, because there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just part of life. So I don't know if that answers your question exactly, but I definitely think that's an interesting thing to explore. And I would like to learn more about that myself, whether those hormonal shifts between the male and female partner may be affecting one another physiologically.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any other questions? Because I could ask another question. I have another one too, but I want to give other people the opportunity to ask a question. So if you could unmute, now's your opportunity. We have about 12 minutes left. Bueller? No? So I'm going to ask my question then. So
Great.
you talked a lot about the gut health and how important that is. And, you know what I do, Cathy, with the microbiome and how important that is. I'm just wondering, can you talk a little bit about how important it is for the vaginal microbiome when it pertains to perimenopause and menopause and maintaining that while you age?
Yeah. So, I mean, it is one of the facets of creating that balance that we're trying to achieve. So when we talk about that dryness, there are people may experience dryness of the skin, or they may experience vaginal dryness. Generally speaking, if you are having the dryness, it's going to be throughout the body, even the digestive tract. It may affect your digestion. Your stools may become harder. You may experience some constipation that you hadn't ever experienced before. But overall, what we're looking at is creating this harmony and balance throughout all of the systems. So while that may be a symptom that they are very focused on as an individual, because it is affecting their day-to-day life very much, and it's uncomfortable, or sexual activity is uncomfortable, whatever the case may be, we're not, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I'm going to note that as a very important symptom. We will address it as part of the overall protocol. So if there is, I'm trying to address exactly what you were saying, but the microbiome itself of one particular area of the body, while it may be of individual concern to that client, I'm looking at it from a much more holistic perspective. We're definitely going to address it, but it isn't going to be the sole focus of the protocol. It's going to be one of the many things that we're trying to resolve. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely.
And does that answer what you were asking?
Yeah, I mean, I could administer vaginal testing, right? And I just know that in that area for women, some women will come to me and they're at their wits' end because they get a lot of yeast infections or they have UTIs. And then it kind of is a cascading thing where the doctors are just giving them antibiotics, and that's not really helping the situation. And so when they do a swab test for the vaginal area to see what the microbiome is in that area, there's diversity there when there shouldn't be diversity. There should only be one species. So that's kind of like, why I was bringing it up. And you answered it very well, that it may be, an imbalance everywhere. So it's just, how you treat it is, I think, the best way, as far as, because I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that everything's connected. And I think a lot of people don't realize that,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the gut and your HPA axis and your central nervous system. Like, all these systems have to work together. And if they don't and something's off, then the system is broken. So like me, I'm a big test, don't ingest person. So a lot of people will just start ingesting things before they test to see if it's actually going to help them.
Yeah. And that's where I think we all wish there was just a magic pill, like, or even maybe 3
So,
or 4, but if we want to get the best, most beneficial care that will create the most profound results for us, this comprehensive and very customized approach, in my opinion, is like the best you can do, because it's taking my history or your history and looking at the symptoms and really honing in on you as an individual, um, and just making sure that we're taking care of just you, rather than throwing something at you that I could, well, you're one of those people that has these symptoms, we'll try this, which is often the approach that you can get from a traditionally trained Western doctor. Again, I don't want to poo-poo Western medicine, but
no.
we're pointing out some contrasts that I think people already are aware of anyway. And you mentioned yeast and something else. Those
UTIs.
yeah. So both of those, as soon as you said that, I'm like, okay, these are pitta, these are pitta related problems. So I would immediately start asking more questions that might guide me toward where the pitta imbalance is for them, because both UTI and yeast would be indications of a pitta imbalance. And something to think about too with vata, pitta, kapha. Vata is air and ether. Pitta is water and fire. Kapha is earth and water. Those are the elements that make up each of these doshas, or the qualities of the doshas. So air can move fast and increase fire, and heat is very drying, and vata is already drying. So you often will see vata pitta things kind of interlaced, and you have to pick apart which of these things is like the chicken and the egg. So those two can kind of aggravate each other. So it's important to be really careful if you're trying to pacify vata, that you don't also increase pitta, because pitta or vata is also very cool. So we want to warm the vata, but if you get it too warm, you're increasing the pitta. So that's why, again, it's so important to really hone in on a very specific protocol with Ayurveda, so you don't knock things out of balance more in trying to correct them.
Got it. We have a question from Michelle in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Are visits with a menopause specialist covered by health insurance?
Oh, yes. Oh, and I see, Michelle, I'm sorry. Yes. My last name is Eads. It is spelled E as in Edward, A as in Adam, D as in David, S as in Sam. And it depends on your insurance, honestly, as to whether visits with a menopause specialist will be covered. If the person is an OBGYN and they just are choosing to specialize in menopausal care, that's probably more likely to be covered. There are a lot of integrative and functional medicine doctors who don't accept insurance. They may have a more holistic approach, but they often do not accept insurance. That being said, I do know that there are, with this move toward more menopausal specialization, I think there are more OBGYNs who are taking this specialty because they see there's quite a demand for it. So if you want to go that route, then looking toward someone who there is definitely an organization, and it might even be called Menopause Specialists of the United States, or National Menopause Specialist. There's definitely an organization. I'm sorry, I can't pull it off the top of my head. But it does list doctors who have specialty training in menopausal care. So I would go there first, because those folks are MDs and they are probably more likely to be covered by insurance or to accept insurance coverage.
I think I'm just trying to remember about the question that Heidi asked. I think what she was referring to, the website, I think she might have been referring to like where are you, like, when you said, I do these presentations and I'm giving you this information from research I've done from what,
Yes.
like PubMed or?
That is I mean, I had it in my notes. Let me go back and find it. It's part of the National Institutes of Health, and it is called, let me look. I know I had it in my notes. Actually, you know what? Let me stop sharing and then I can go do a quick, I should have done that sooner, actually. It's the National Center for Biotechnology Information. Yes, National Center for Biotechnology Information. And they have a lot of research there on natural and holistic methods of treatment. I've done research on breathing and respiration techniques, arthritis and pain management using an Ayurvedic approach, a lot of different things there. So
What is the website again?
the National Center for Biotechnology Information, and it's part of the National Institutes of Health. So it shows up as www. Actually, you know what? Let me just copy it into the chat. That'll be the easy thing to do.
That's what I was doing. The National Center for Biotechnology Information.
Yes.
The NCBI or,
That is
yes, the NIH, basically. Yeah.
Yes. There it is. ncbi.nim.nih.gov. Nice long string of letters.
Yeah. Very good. Well, it's 8:29. So I think we'll call this a wrap. Snaps to you, Cathy. You did a fantastic job.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for taking, time to teach us about this very important topic. And again, the people who are on the call, if you really, what Cathy spoke to us or taught us tonight resonates with you, please reach out to her. I put the information in the chat, and I would definitely take advantage of that $400 value. That's for sure. I had mine done. I think you did mine a while back, and I was like this off the chart pitta, but it kind of makes sense. Anyway. So thank you, everyone. I'll have the recording available tomorrow, and I will send that to you, Cathy, as well. Okay.
Yep. Sounds great. Thank you all for being here. And thanks again, Dan, for the opportunity to share with everyone.
No problem. You're welcome. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye-bye.